This is the mobile edition. We have our normal podcast, which has, I think now over 1,000 episodes, teaching, talking about the NEC, all type of things. And that's available on our mobile app, which is free. You can get our mobile app at neccat.com, or you can go to our website, fasttracksystem.com. Sorry for the sound of the heater. It is downright chilly here in Texas, 16 degrees, okay? What the hell happened to Al Gore? What happened with this global warming, right? It's kind of like EVs and wind generation and solar. It's all collectively bullshit. But if we convince enough people that it's a really big deal, then there'll be money to be made in it. So anyway, that's my opinion on it. You've heard it. You heard it here. Not that I don't think that they're an added necessary, benefit to helping offset energy and to collectively, it's a great thing. Independently, they're all full of crap. Okay, look out your window. EV is not going to change the world. Look at the news reports. Look how cold it's been last week. People's Teslas won't even charge. Folks, it's kind of one of those things where you can't always believe everything you hear, right? There's some truth in this. There's always a little truth in something, right? EVs can be great. They can help, ease the grid a little bit if you do it strategically, not throwing everybody on the grid. So, there's different ways to do things, but we're not doing it very smart, to be honest with you. And the car makers are not, because they're jumping on a money train. That's all they're doing, jumping on a money train. What happened to the wind generation? Did you hear that? You hear much about that? Yeah, okay. What about solar? You hear a whole lot about photovoltaics lately? Yeah, kind of not in the news. Okay, whatever. It's all goes in cycles, if you will, folks. Anyway, not the topic for today. So, we had a question that came in, and I figured I'd just address this, this morning in a mobile, because it's easier to address it in a mobile. So a gentleman asks, okay, when sizing the grounding electrode conductor, now that's the conductor that's going from your service equipment, grounded neutral bus, down to whatever electrodes you have, whether it's a water pipe electrode and you're supplementing it, or your grod pipes or plates, or a concrete encased electrode, or ground ring, or whatever your electrode is. Okay, so you've selected your electrodes. That's 250.52 for those that are keeping track in your code book. That's going to give you the various type of electrodes. But that conductor that goes from your service equipment, and by the way, it can actually be at the service equipment, but it also can be connected all the way up to and including the point of attachment to the all the way down to the service equipment. So there's many options for you to make a connection to that grounded conductor with your GEC that goes down to your electrode. Okay, we talk about that in our videos. We have a grounding and bonding series. You can get a lot of those rules in 250.24 as well if you want to go slap open your code book and they'll blow the dust off of it and actually read it for once or twice. Then you might see that. Okay, so the question is, he said, well, what happens if I have a meter main combo from the meter and the service equipment is all in one? And how do I size the GEC from the meter to the service equipment, since it's all in one piece of equipment and it's connected by a bus? It's not conductors. And typically, the GEC is sized based on the size of the service conductors that come in. Okay, great question. So typically, even supplying power to that meter combo could be, let's say it's overhead, and it comes overhead and it comes to the point of attachment, then it changes to service entrance conductors overhead, and then it just comes over and it's service entrance conductors. Or you have a service drop that comes from a meter, comes from a transformer and drops down to the side of your building overhead. And so those are either service entrance, service drop and then it hits the point of attachment, and in that case, it'll probably change over to service entrance conductors. And then it goes down to your meter/service combo. Well, you typically, from the point of attachment, the NEC takes over, so you're going to be sizing the conductors from the point of attachment down to the meter and the meter combo, meter service combo. So you'd size it based on those conductors, right? But what if you have a situation where it's coming from a service lateral, which is utility underground, coming from, let's say, pad mount transformer. I guess it could also come from a transformer on a pole coming down into the ground, and then, if it's service, it's going to come underneath and over. And if it's run by the utility, then that's the service lateral. It comes up into the meter. So the point of attachment's at the meter. Okay, well, we know they can do rules differently than us, right? I mean, they're the utility, right? They size their stuff based on what they want to do, based on demand, based on historical data, all this kind of stuff. So we don't really control that if that's under the utility, outside of the scope of the NEC. Okay, get it. However, if your service is a 400 amp or 200 amp, whatever it is, then in 250.66, there's various notes underneath that table. Now remember, folks, you've heard me talk about it before. If it's a ground rod, pipe, or plate, or a ground ring, or a concrete encased electrode, right? Then what you're going to do is you're just going to go to 250.66 A, B, or C. If that's the sole electrode, and that's, then you're just going to size per that. For example, it permits a 6-gauge copper, for example, to ground rods, a 4-gauge to concrete encased electrodes, typically a 2-gauge to ground ring. Okay, all of that's covered in A, B, and C of 250.66. But if that's not the case, then in all other cases of the type of electrodes that aren't covered in A, B, and C, you're just going to go to the table, 250.66, right? So it's all perfect, works really nice when you know the service conductors that are supplying the service. Then you're like, boom, I go there, sized on that, and that's how I size the grounding electrode conductor, right? All right, so that's pretty much straightforward, right? Now, what happens again, like I said, if it happens to be a service lateral, comes up into the meter outside, then you're like, okay, well, it's utility, and that could be smaller. Well, then you have a note, specifically note 2, that says if they're not service entrance conductors, then you have to size the conductors that would be equivalent to what it would be to supply that service. So you're going to use all of the skills that you have as an electrician to size those conductors for that service as if you were sizing those conductors. If you were installing those conductors, what would you choose? Right? So that is what you would do. And then once you have that established, then you would size your GEC based on that. So it's not brain surgery. The notes are there. They're not informational notes. It's important to know that those are actual notes. So they're very much applicable. They are part of the table. And we get that a lot in various locations where we have these notes, like in the ampacity tables, 31016. We have some notes in the bottom. They are very much applicable, or applicable, however the proper pronunciation of that is, whatever that may be. I've got my critics, so I'm sure somebody will tell me. But that's how you would use the various notes. Okay? So, and you would size accordingly. Now, in most cases today, if it's commercial, then an engineer is going to design all that out anyway and tell you what the GEC they want it to be, which could be larger than what's in the code, because the engineer can do what they want, and we typically follow what they want. So, make them happy. Because, again, we don't want any liability to come back on us. Not that it would for lightning. It's for transient surge. It's not to clear any overcurrent device. Y'all know that. Y'all know what the GEC is for. It's totally different than the equipment grounded conductor, which is sized from a totally different table, 250.122, based on the overcurrent protected device. So totally different. Y'all get that. Y'all have listened to me enough. Y'all know what that is. And we're not talking about any main bonding jumper, supply side bonding jumper, system bonding jumper sizing, because y'all know that table too, right? That's 250.102C. 1. So y'all get that. Y'all are smart, snappy folks. But if you're new to listen to my podcast, you stumble across it, and you really want to learn the NEC, you want to enjoy learning the NEC, then I would tell you to consider joining our Fast Tracks program. Even if you already know the code, this week we are launching a new NEC learning course that is basically the same as our Fast Tracks, but it's for people that are already licensed. So what it is, it's going to be focused more, and it's going to be incorporating videos into the program that are not just for exam prep, but just some, our training videos into the actual course itself. And that is just for people that already know the NEC or just want to get a much better understanding of the NEC. And those folks will also be able to join us on Wednesday nights if they want, but we're thinking about having a separate night for those folks because it's not really so much exam prep. It's just kind of for us to have discussions and talk about the NEC and have that camaraderie if you're interested in that type of course, if you're already licensed. But again, I don't want to steer you away from our Fast Tracks Black or Plus because essentially it's exam prep, but it's for people that already are familiar with the code, and basically it's going to keep you immersed in the code. And that's what we're all about. So if you're a code nerd like me, also we have some new code nerd stuff over on our website. Show everybody you're a code nerd. And the good thing about Code Nerd collection is it doesn't matter whether you're a plumber, mechanical guy, HVAC, whatever. If it's code, it's code. So you get to determine the code of your liking. And we just like to give you a bunch of stuff to share that pride and whatnot. So check that out. Everything helps support our channel. We appreciate you. Appreciate everybody that follows me on all of our social media platforms. Hopefully you learned something. Most of my education, again, you do have to pay for. We offer Fast Tracks 2, where you can get a lot of our videos. And, of course, our Fast Tracks courses. We do have exam prep, just questions only packages. So we have a little bit of something for everybody. We have a budget course. If you just want the course material, but you don't want all the extra support stuff that you feel like you don't need, you just want the course itself as a good refresher, because you'll get access to it for a lifetime. So you can access it on your phone, take it with you, study at your own pace. Maybe you don't need something as intense as our Fast Tracks Black or Plus. That's really up to you. My goal here is to provide you options. And I think that we constantly have built something out here at Electrical Code Academy that really is focusing on exam prep. We're kind of the pioneers when it comes to a structured exam prep. Means taking you through it structurally, piece by piece, and pulling you in and out into the code book. Nobody's ever done that. So, I mean, there's been a lot of other educators out there, but nobody's ever done it with the style that we do it. So we'd love to have you a part of our Fast Tracks family. If you're interested in it, go to our website. There's a demo on there. Watch our demo. If you're interested in our podcasts, man, do me a favor. Just get our free mobile app. It's free. And you can listen to all of our podcasts from your mobile app, but maybe you have your favorite listening platform. Maybe you like Spotify or Spreaker or Deezer or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can also listen. Just search for Master the NEC podcast, and you can get all of our podcasts. And if you want to listen to just the Let's Ask Paul podcast, and that's all you want to listen to, or you want to submit questions to me to get on an upcoming episode, then all you got to do is go to paulabernathy.com. Yep, just like it sounds. Paul Abernathy, PaulAbernathy.com. And you can actually listen to all of these podcasts from that website as well. It's sponsored by Wix. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And that's the only way that I'm really answering questions for people anymore is through that portal. I get inundated with emails and stuff like that, so I'm trying to consolidate it down. I'm only going to be answering questions. I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a week, all over the code, all over, different cycles, 2017, 2020, 2023. What's happening with the 2026? Hey, my state says this. What are your thoughts? Now on, folks, I really need you to go through the paulabernathy.com portal. It makes it so much easier for me to be able to address questions, that type of thing. So, anyway, that's what we got, folks. Hopefully you got something out of today's episode and learned a little bit something about grounding electroconductors, and hopefully I answered the individual's question. Till next time, stay safe. God bless. And oh, by the way, over on all of our social media, we go by Master V NEC, all one word, MasterThenec. Use the @ symbol in front of it. Search for us. Make sure you subscribe to all of our platforms, because you never know what we're going to put out on any of our platforms. Till next time, stay safe. God bless.